Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Unwatchables.
I'm waving a
We're
lot.
back. You're waving? Oh, we can wave
waving.
now. That's crazy. They can see us. We can wave now. Hi.
Hi.
But yeah, we're back. It's been a while, but I mean, obviously it's different now. You can see us. We decided that the whole thing we were doing before was way too much work, considering we're two high schools that never ever break from homework ever. That was a lot, sorry. So yeah, this is what we chose. Thought it would be easiest.
Yeah, that's basically it. So
But-
today we're going to be talking about a movie that you may or may not have heard of. It's kind of a
Just
small
maybe.
It's like a small indie film. It's called Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't think I have. No.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it's only showing at like those pretentious film festivals and stuff and at private screenings. No one else is seeing it. Like, there's no way this movie would cross $1 billion ever, It's just not
I
possible.
totally didn't do that like yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was crazy, dude. Like, honestly, I don't think I'll ever have an experience like watching this movie for the first time ever again.
Yeah.
It was like insane. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the way they do this stuff with bringing back the old villains and bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but like I know that's happening the whole time. I know, like it's all been leaked or whatever, which by the way is stupid. I'm still mad that people did that. Like, just let people enjoy the movie, right? Do you agree, or do you want the leak?
I mean, I'm a big follower of leaks. The people who don't want the leaks, I think you should keep them out of it. There are specific places to go after leaks if you want to see the leaks, but don't tell the leaks to other people. Like the whole plot of or most of the plot of the new Doctor Strange movie has already come out.
Right.
And
Seriously? Already?
yep.
Bro. What? Why?
I love leaks. I'd never spoil it for others, but I just love leaks so much.
Leaks
just
ruined the whole experience.
No, it's just
of the
because
movie for me.
it's so much fun just watching. When leaking season comes out, there are dependable leakers and there are untrustworthy leakers, and both of them go head to head. So you have the untrustworthy leakers saying one thing, and then other leakers are saying another thing, and you're like, who the hell's right? And then like it used to be with No Way Home that the crazy leak that's totally not going to happen is that Andrew and Toby are going to show up, and Matt Murdock is going to show up. Most people
went well.
thought months ago. People are thinking that's BS. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Because
And
like
then
it's so
it was-
crazy that it did happen. Like,
And then
I still
yeah.
kind of doubt it sometimes when I think about it. Like, was it just a dream? Are we all just dreaming?
yeah, so months and months and months ago, that was the initial leak, but everyone thought it was BS. And then as the months went by, talking about No Way Home meant talking about those two showing up, and then sooner or later, you cannot talk about No Way Home without talking about the possibility of those two showing up. And it's also just fun, like when WandaVision had all those huge quote-unquote leaks that all turned out to be false, and then we just got the Ralph Boner joke.
Peak humor right there.
The places you can find leaks were up in arms. It was glorious. So I like the reason I partake in the leaks is so if by chance the leaks are false, I can see everyone who had their hopes up just fall apart. It's like part of me was hoping that all the leaks for No Way Home were wrong and Toby and Andrew didn't show up, just so I could see the world just go into chaos. That would have just been so funny.
I mean, you can see that, but then you also have to see the sadness of it not happening. Like,
Yep.
don't tell me you wouldn't be a little bit disappointed. But leaks are so, I don't know. I guess I'm the opposite of you, because they kind of ruin the whole experience for me. Because, like, when I'm going to a movie, I don't want to know how it's going to end and every other thing. Like, just, I'm going to propose a scenario, and I want you to imagine this happening, right? Imagine they're marketing No Way Home, right? And they don't market anything to do with the villains from the other movies or anything, which is how they were marketing it. They didn't, surprisingly, never marketed Toby and Andrew at all, but they marketed the villains. They marketed the villains a lot. So I know I read somewhere that their original plan was to market it as a sort of like fight or civil war-ish thing between Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Doctor Strange, and then hide the whole villains thing, because I think they should have done that. Because imagine just you go into the theater, right? And you walk in, and this is what you think you're gonna see it. It's like it's gonna be another Spider-Man movie. It's chill, and maybe they wouldn't make as much money. But imagine you're sitting down and you're watching that movie, and then all of a sudden, Doctor Octopus is on the screen. Like
Yeah.
that would be. I might faint in my chair if that happened.
The problem is all that stuff was going to come out either way. That's what their plan
Yeah,
was.
because
but
everybody's
then-
got to be a loser and leak the whole movie and ruin
well,
the fun
that's
for
the thing.
everybody.
The villains being in the movie wasn't leaked. Alfred Molina went into an interview and said I'm in this movie.
Probably had Kevin Feige knocking on his door later that night.
Yeah. He's like, strike two, Alfred.
You just see the little red dot appear on his chest right after he says it.
Yeah. And then every
Oh no, guys, it was a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, we should probably stop talking about the leaks and actually talk about the movie. It's a
What?
good movie. Even
It's
the most
a
cynical
masterpiece.
Even the most cynical and pretentious critics will enjoy this.
Okay, there's one thing that needs to be said about this movie. Yes, it's an amazing movie, right? I absolutely loved it. It's probably my favorite MCU movie now. Maybe even my favorite superhero movie. We'll see about that one. We got to see how it feels after a little bit of time, because like recency bias. But the one thing about this movie is that it probably sucks if you didn't know, like, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is like your first Spider-Man, and you don't know to watch, or you haven't seen the ones with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, because that was me like 2 months before it came out. So I'm thankful to the leaks for that part, because that's what pushed me to go back and watch. I got to do my homework, and I think that movie would have been kind of disappointing if you hadn't. It would just be like, oh, this is cool, I guess. Like, it relies so much on that nostalgia factor. Like, it's good with the nostalgia factor, but it relies on it,
And like the whole villains and Toby and Andrew coming back, and like when you just put that all together, it's not that fancy of a plot. It's not that fancy. I'd even say that some stuff in the third act is a kind of bit cheap. I don't really love the third act battle itself, and like the way they dispose of the villains and like heal them and stuff. I think that was a bit weird, but it doesn't matter just because you are seeing these guys again.
Yeah, I mean,
like part of the fun of them showing up is wondering whether they're going to show up. If you just go into the movie and you see them in the movie, you're like, huh, okay. But if you're like, all the rumors are saying they're in it, I don't know if they're in it or not, and then you go in and you see them, and you're like, yes, I kind of expected it, but I'm so hyped,
Yeah, I mean, like, I knew they were going to be in it. I'd seen all the leaks. I didn't really want to see the leaks, but I'd seen all the leaks. Yet still, that moment when, like, Andrew Garfield walks out of the hole or whatever, like, the moment I saw his eyes, like, absolute chills. Like, that was crazy. I'm not even going to lie to you. Even though I knew it was coming the whole time, I shed a tear of joy at that moment, because it's just so, like, how is this happening? Like,
yeah,
I that's how I felt after seeing those movies for the first time in the past, like, 2 months. I can't even imagine the people that have been, like, watching these things for 20 years.
yeah, and like
that must have been a crazy experience.
The first Tobey Maguire Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie was the first superhero movie I ever saw. And I saw it like when I was 5 or something.
Yeah, so that must have been crazy for you.
It was crazy. Here's the thing. Tobey was probably my least favorite Spider-Man out of the 3. But it was great
Same.
seeing him again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like no matter the thing about that movie is no matter how many little problems, like I've seen people on the internet comparing it to The Dark Knight, and I think that's a terrible comparison
Yeah,
because The Dark Knight
totally
is
different
by
movies.
far and away a better movie objectively than No Way Home
But they're
is.
trying to
Like
accomplish different things, you know?
exactly.
Dark Knight is
No Way
trying to
Home is
be
good.
Dark Knight's trying to
Trying to
be a
be
really, really good movie. And while No Way Home is trying to be a good movie as well, it's trying to please as many people as possible. And,
yeah,
giving all the people who enjoyed the Sam Raimi movies just like a chance to feel like children again, you know?
yeah. Like what I'm saying is that No Way Home The Dark Knight, sorry, is an objectively good movie. Like you can strip everything about Batman away from that movie that everyone knew before, and it's still a good movie. But with No Way Home, it relies so heavily upon this like nostalgia element where it almost forces you to like I haven't even thought about the bad parts about this plot yet, which there certainly were a couple of because that just pushes it so far and away ahead. But if you remove all of that context, it's not I mean, I hate to say it, but it wouldn't be a fantastic movie. So I don't
Yeah.
think you should compare it to like the likes of The Dark Knight, you
It's
know?
it's more it's more of an experience, just like how many people see Endgame as just an experience, you know? It has its
This was a
flaws.
way better
It
experience
has
though.
it has a few flaws, but just it's all about how much enjoyment you got in the movie theater.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go out and say it. This is the best excluding recency bias, this is the best MCU movie. Like yeah, others were like objectively I keep using the word objectively as if movies can be
Yeah.
objectively good.
They're
But like
better movies, but this is
they're
more
better
fun and more
this is
enjoyable.
just like the epitome of a comic
Yeah.
book movie. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
exactly right.
trying to be this like you could compare it to I know people love like The Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a really good movie. I like that movie a lot, but this is just like I don't know. It's something different,
I
I
actually
think.
do
And I
think
think
that
I like it way more than all the other ones. Dude, he was so good. It was crazy. The scene with him like beating down on the goblin at the end, dude, that was so like I don't even know, man. It's that was crazy. Mm, yeah. No, it's definitely yeah, it's definitely still about him after that. Yeah, they use the other Spider-Man so well to like benefit his character. Like the scene on the top of the high school where they're like explaining what happened to them and Andrew talks about how he went through like dark times, which is pretty cool by the way that they mention that kind of stuff. Like they use them so well to benefit Tom's. And I've been thinking about it and I guess like it's so strange cuz the first 3 all 3 of these Spider-Man movies in the MCU if you really look at it closely, are just like they're the origin story, right? They're it's like the first 20 minutes of Spider-Man 1 and the Amazing Spider-Man. That's like what the first 3 Tom Holland movies are. It's like am I explaining I don't think I'm explaining this well.
Well, I see what you're going for because like the first 30 minutes of all of those other iterations of Spider-Man, they have Uncle Ben dying, but Uncle Ben dying for Tom Holland's Peter is sorry for Uncle yeah so Uncle Ben dying for Tom Holland's Peter is May dying and Tony Stark dying, and both of those iterations end with him sort of letting go of like finding out that he can't perfectly balance his uh his superhero life and his life, and he kind of has to let the life go and just go full superhero mode, and that's what they do in this movie, at the end of this movie.
Yeah, like I think that now this Spider-Man went from in one movie from being probably the least comic accurate Spider-Man to the most comic accurate Spider-Man. It's cool. Well, there's a couple things. I like Doc Ock a lot just in general. But in this movie, I don't know, would you count him as a villain?
I mean, for the first bit, he's a villain. I think to
The
me,
bridge scene was a lot of fun.
yeah, to me, Willem Dafoe was pitch perfect in this.
Oh, he was. I was gonna get to that. He was far and away the
for
best out of all
for this.
of them.
I think he's with this just made it so his performance as Green Goblin is the best Spider-Man villain of all time.
Definitely.
I think that's
people
what
are going
this
a
movie
little
does.
too far though. They're like, I've seen a lot of people asking who's better, him or Heath Ledger as the Joker, and I think that one's a little bit too far. Or do you think that's a fair comparison?
I mean, they're totally different. They're different villains. I find it very hard to compare villains of different franchises because they're doing totally different things, and their developments do not align. They don't develop in the same way because they're dealing with different heroes. Peter is a very good person, while Bruce Wayne is not a very good person. So whatever relationship and whatever development the villain has in relation to the hero, it will be totally different. But I do think just Willem Dafoe's every scene he was in, he was just amazing.
Yeah, looking at like all the promotional stuff, I did not expect him to come out as the main villain, and I liked it a lot. I think it was done very well. And it's like that scene where he's just beating the crap out of him, and he's just on the floor laughing. Like
it kind of reminds me of the Dark Knight scene.
Yeah, people have compared that too. But after I watched Spider-Man 1, I was kind of disappointed by the Green Goblin a little bit. It just seemed a little bit like weak and kind of cheesy. But after this, it's all gone. It's like it's amazing.
Yeah,
It truly is.
yeah, and I do feel like this movie is great. It does have shortcomings. I think one of those shortcomings is that Sandman and Lizard just kind of get forgotten. They're just kind of
neither of their actors were able to actually come on set, right? It was just like voiceovers.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, I know the part at least where Sandman got cured was just straight footage from Spider-Man 3.
And also, there's a bit of a plot hole where the spell makes it so everyone who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man got transported into this universe.
Yeah.
The thing is, Electro never knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, so he has no reason to be here.
That's just like
a small little plot hole, but I feel like it doesn't really matter too much.
Well, I saw a video of a scene the other day where it's kind of weak, but like when they're fighting in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like at the electrical plant or whatever, while he's still alive, like up on the pylons or whatever they're called, I don't know. Peter's talking to Gwen and she calls him by name, and so people are saying maybe he heard that. It's kind of weak, but I guess it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was really funny though. Like it felt like a completely different character, I'm not going to lie, but I liked it way better, so I'm going to
Well, yeah, it's
excuse.
like MCU has a knack for that. They're not afraid to just totally change a character if they see that the character isn't as good as it could be. A prime example is Thor. Like he is, like when I was younger, I really didn't like that they changed Thor's character so much. I was like, this isn't Thor. This is just
it's so much better now.
This is just a Saturday Night Live version of Thor. But then I realized, wait, no, Thor was a terrible character before. This is the best thing they could have done to him.
Yeah, but it's like,
and at least Electro's not this blue mess. He's not this blue electrical mess anymore.
Dude, the costume for him was so cool. Like the lightning, like
like the fire
making the
or the
mask.
thief.
It looked so
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't entirely No Way Home-ish, but there's been a lot of Spider-Man suits now, right?
Yeah.
If you had to pick, I think there's like 11 total, not counting the homemade ones or whatever. I guess they're all homemade kind of, but not counting like the the starter ones. Like,
Yeah.
what are your top 3 Spider-Man suits?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Including the one including the one at the end of No Way Home, because that was
Yeah.
the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen.
So probably Amazing Spider-Man 2, then this new suit in No Way Home, and then let's think. Does it count if I say Tobey Maguire's Venom suit?
Yeah, I was counting that as one of the 11.
Yeah, so that's my 3. It's Amazing Spider-Man 2, No Way Home, Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, the top 2 are exactly what I would say. Like, both those suits are so amazing. Wait, which do you like more though? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or the new one?
Well, I haven't seen enough of the new one. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it
that's
in
true.
action enough.
Okay.
I've just from what I've seen of it, it looks really, really good.
Dude, I didn't even notice that. I'd have the same top 2 as those two, and then number 3, I'd probably put the Stark suit just because I don't know, I really like it. I know a lot of people don't. I just
Yeah.
think it looks fine. It looks cool.
Yeah,
I do wish they went with the original, less CGI'd version. It looks way
Yeah.
better.
I
But
think
I don't mind it.
I think my least favorite will always be the Iron Spider suit, just because I don't think that's a Spider-Man suit.
My
It's
least
just a-
favorite is probably the first Amazing Spider-Man one. The yellow eyes really don't do it for me.
Okay.
And it looks like a basketball. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
It really does. It's weird.
Yeah, maybe it could be that because he's from Queens, maybe he made the suit out of basketballs.
Maybe. He went from worst suit to best suit in one movie, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice how cool the Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't even notice he changed when I watched
Yeah.
them originally. It was pretty
Yeah,
subtle.
One of the problems a lot of Marvel movies have is that they cannot properly balance the humor and the heart. Like, you'll have these random bits of humor that will undercut an emotional moment.
They throw you out of the scene so hard.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it really does. And I thought this movie really got rid of that problem. Like the full third act, or like the last 15 minutes, it was just asking you to cry. It was going like, okay, we're done on the humor.
And I did.
Just cry.
Okay, but the humor that was in there was done well. Like the scene where Toby, Andrew, and Tom are all sitting in the scaffolding and just like discussing like right before the fight. That is probably my favorite MCU scene. It was so funny, but it worked so well. They have such good chemistry together.
And I really like how they actually they made it so the other two, Spider-Man, Andrew, and Toby's, they don't really know how to work as a team, but the MCU Spider-Man does, because he was on the Avengers. Is that a band? And I love, like, so I feel like that's gonna be another repeated joke in the MCU. Like, anytime there's a group that breaks up, it's always gonna be a reference to the Beatles, like in Infinity War.
And then the part where they were like talking about how they both fought like aliens. That he's like, the best thing I fought was a robotic or a guy in a rhinoceros suit. This is so funny, man.
Yeah, and then Toby went
like all the little subtle.
I feel like in Toby's world, his alter ego is a therapist. Because like every time he talked to Andrew, and Andrew was criticizing himself, he went full therapist mode.
You're amazing, See what he did there? All the subtle little references back to their movies made it so much. Like, they weren't just there. They were, like, there. Like, the scene with the webs, like, the web shooting, which was really weird to watch after seeing that picture of Andrew all over the internet, like, all year.
Yeah. Like, at first, everyone thought it was him asking, "You have webbed blood?" But in reality, it was, "You have web
With
block."
block.
Yeah,
Blood
that was
block.
a little nudge nudge wink wink moment.
Yeah.
But one thing I really liked is this movie could have easily just become the villains gets transported into this universe and they just run around New York and Spider-Man has to slowly catch them with the help of the other two Spider-Man. But what I really like is Tom Holland's Spider-Man, or Tom Holland's Peter, wants to rehabilitate them, and he does temporarily. You know, they actually, like, there's almost no action in the second act because, um, well, transition between the second and third act, just because he's actually able to, like, make them chill a bit. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, he's actually able to bring them into the apartment. Of course, the Goblin has another, like, a plan using that, but I thought it was pretty cool that they didn't just go full out chasing them around New York and they were able to be caught pretty easily.
Yeah. Um the scene where the spider sense like gets the goblin's personality changing was so cool.
Oh yeah, like he's just walking around the apartment. He's like, something's wrong.
What is it? Yeah. But the one thing about the whole converting or curing thing I found weird was, yeah, they're all cured now, but they all got taken out of their universes right before they all like died. So like
They're just gonna die.
you're just sending a bunch of good people back to die instead of a bunch of bad
Or I
people.
guess what they are doing is that when they get back to that universe, they're not going to try and kill the other Spider-Man, so they won't die.
True. I guess they must, but like Doc Ock got taken out. I'm pretty sure straight out of the water where he was drowning.
No,
Like,
he got taken out when he had um when he was strangling Spider-Man because he was like, I had him in my clutches, and then he
oh,
got
that's right,
transported.
yeah. I guess they'll all be fine then because like Green Goblin, I saw a video earlier today. He showed up with his helmet on and his helmet was like gone when he died, so like he would go back and he wouldn't order the glider to
Yeah.
do anything. But I feel really bad for Electro cuz he got all the electricity taken out of him, so he's just like a normal dude. And
And
he's
then
just going
and
to get thrown back in and go
yeah.
and die, right?
Then Andrew was like, "No, you're not a no one." But then I was thinking, well, he kind of is a no one now.
Yeah, you took away the only special thing about him,
Yeah.
Andrew. And then there's Lizard, who's just like there. He's just kind of chilling. He just wants to turn everybody into lizards,
Yeah.
you know.
And
The
that's
scene where they're all talking in the bottom of the basement of the sacred whatever it's called, and he's like, "I can give you a makeover.
yeah.
You want to be a lizard?" It's so funny. The
Yeah.
he just wants people to be lizards.
Yeah, he's not that bad of a guy. Just a bit
Well,
eccentric.
he just likes lizards a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I love how they like shoved him into the van though when they were all up the apartment, just so they like didn't have to CGI him or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
But yeah,
goofy.
what do you think about the final battle itself?
Oh,
Like, besides all the three Spider-Man parts, because those were good. But did you feel like when they cured all the villains and when they had those little moments between the corresponding villains and Spider-Man, do you think those were really good? Because
I mean, if you
I kind of felt like it kind of looked dull.
think about it without the concept of like meeting their old villains again, it doesn't. It's not like the strongest way ever to get that kind of thing done, but like,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. It's just so cool watching them like interact again that I can give them a pass.
Talking about action sequences, the Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man fight was probably one of my favorite fights ever. It was so good.
Yeah, I really like Doctor Strange in this movie. I know a lot of people are still like, why would he help Peter? But like, I mean, it's Doctor Strange.
Well,
He's not
well, they
the
kind of
most.
explain it. He's done it before, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And also, and yeah, the fight was good. I like that. I like that he wasn't like a huge, gigantic part of the movie, and they sort of shoved him off to the side. But the one thing that bothers me about like Magic's involvement in this movie is the Ned thing. Just seems a little convenient.
It was a bit convenient, and also because he loses his memory of Peter, he probably isn't going to use magic ever again. It felt kind of random.
Okay, my
Also,
question for you then is: in the next trilogy, do you think Peter and Ned and MJ will ever reconnect, or do you think that that's final?
I kind of hope it's final.
Because I'm feeling like they're gonna reconnect, like completely separate from Spider-Man and get a fresh start after like a movie or two. Like they'll meet again and be like, I don't
Maybe.
know, I don't know, maybe
But
just a little bit of conversation. They don't have to be close again.
I like to think that Doctor Strange casting the spell was just to spite Wong because Wong got Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
guess I like to think that it was just to spite him.
yeah. That's definitely a pretty strange thing to do. Yeah. You know the last scene where Peter like goes in with the coffee cup to tell them who he is again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just me, or was I the only one that low key kind of thought that when Ned walked in, him and MJ were gonna like
Be a thing.
kiss right in front
Yeah,
of Peter?
I thought they were gonna be a
That
thing. Well,
that
actually,
kind of
looking back at it, that wouldn't happen because MJ still does have the broken necklace, so she still has some sort of subconscious recollection of Peter, and she has some sort of
yeah.
connection to that necklace because of Peter. So
It is kind of difficult to pull that off because like, how does Happy still know?
yeah,
Like, there's all kinds of stuff now that's happened,
like does he
and there's
not
no
exist?
good explanation why.
Does he not exist whatsoever? Like, does he not have a social security number or anything? And if so, how is he able to get an apartment and stuff like that?
I don't think he, as a person, stopped existing. I think everyone who knew him just forgot they knew him.
But then there would still be the records of him being Spider-Man.
I guess all the records of
Well,
him.
what they literally said is no one will have any memory of Peter Parker, which translates to every source on the internet, every video of Peter Parker will probably disappear. So
Maybe he is just not a person anymore.
Basically, it's just it doesn't exist, which kind of does work as well. But then it does.
Then how do you?
Well, actually, I think that was very well foreshadowed. Where so many times in the first two home movies, Peter's missing. You know, like he skips Homecoming, he skips the opera and stuff like that. He's constantly disappearing, and that kind of works. He really didn't make that many connections with people besides May and Happy and Ned and MJ. So him disappearing isn't that consequential for the lives of like his classmates and stuff like that. It really only changes like Ned,
MJ,
yeah,
Happy,
Ned, yeah,
and maybe Flash a little bit.
I don't know. He just, yeah.
So, does this mean that like none of the Peter so I guess all the interactions with Spider-Man are still there, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man still exists, I think.
So like everybody, Spider-Man.
So like the Avengers.
So like
the Avengers know.
the Avengers
Spider-Man
still
is.
know. I don't think they know who he is. I think they just know Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, they know.
They don't know.
They know that Spider-Man was at the battle against Thanos.
Yeah, like, so that makes sense. But like,
But then like,
yeah.
yeah, it's weird.
It's a very difficult decision. Like, it works very well in this story, but it's very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, it's gonna be very weird rewatching other Marvel movies, like particularly Infinity War. Like, because Peter spends so much time with like the Guardians. Yeah, he's just not going to exist.
I guess they'll just probably have all those memories of him mask up, I guess.
Yeah. It's weird.
Well, yeah, it is strange. You know,
Strange.
there was a lot of cameos in this movie. Strange. There's a lot of cameos from this movie in old characters. Obviously, that's the whole point, and it was amazing. And there's a lot of chills, a lot of all that stuff. But you know what one character would have made it so much better? At the end, hear me out. He's going into his apartment. You see him opening the door, and then
Where's my
all of
rent?
a sudden, there's Mr. Dickovich, and he's like, "Where's my rent?" And then he's like,
get your rent
"Get
when you
your
fix
rent
this
when you
damn
fix
door.
this damn door." It would have been so great.
They stuffed some chocolate cake into his face.
Don't tell me that wouldn't have been the great. Would you have liked that, or would you have not?
Oh yeah, I
that
would have
not
loved
worked for
that.
you? It would have been
I would-
such a nice little bit of humor just to end
Yeah.
off all the sadness.
Well, I wouldn't
It's
want
so
that,
it's so
that to
awesome.
happen specifically. I just would have liked,
Well, no,
where's my rent?
I just would have liked. I don't want the "Where's my damn door" thing. That doesn't really fit. Or fix the damn door. But like, just to see him like in the background or like giving him the keys, it would have made my day. That would have been so amazing.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That guy's the true Spider-Man villain. Yeah. And then the other cameo I think we need to talk about is a little more is Daredevil. I don't know if you've seen that show, right?
Yeah, some of it.
I personally have not seen it. I'm gonna watch it very soon, hopefully, now that he's in the MCU. But do you think
And same with Kingpin.
it's a variant, or do you think it's the same Daredevil?
Oh, it's the same one, definitely. The
So
Netflix
you think the show
shows,
is canon?
So the Netflix shows are canon until someone says so, and they're not saying, they haven't really said so yet. But
I know
think
Vincent.
they're
How do
Daredevil's
you say his
definitely
last
canon.
name? Donofrio, Donofrio.
Don't know. Fisk.
How do you say?
Wilson
Whatever
Fisk.
his name is. Wilson Fisk's actor said that it's the same character trying to read. Like, obviously, Kingpin appears in Hawkeye. Most people know that. Hopefully, spoilers. If you don't, it's too late for that. Yeah, the actor who plays Hawkeye said that it's the same character trying to regain his sort of kingdom after the
Blip.
snap, right? The
Yeah.
blip. I still don't like. Do you like the blip being called the blip?
It's kind of funny. It's like
I feel like it's a
like
little piece of.
It's like something that's caught on. You know, like it was a meme at first, but then everyone just caught on to it.
Yeah, it's a little piece of Marvel humor that like it's become so like big. It's like the Peter Tingle. Those two things like they kept going. And I
Yeah.
didn't expect that. But anyways, yeah, it's like they said he's like trying to regain his ground after the blimp. So blip, not blimp.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is the same character.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like all of those Netflix shows, like Agent Carter, and Daredevil, they're canon until someone says they're not. Because they're too, like, especially Daredevil, it's too good for someone to say it's not canon.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm gonna assume it is, and I'm very excited to watch it just for Fisk. I don't even care about
Yeah.
Daredevil. I just want to see more of Fisk.
Well, I
'Cause
like
I know
it,
most
like,
people hated him in Hawkeye, but I really liked it.
in the first season, Daredevil barely shows up. Like, really barely. It's more of a mystery and lawyer stuff, and it's really good.
How many seasons are there?
3, I think. Yeah, 3, I think.
I know the last season's supposed to be very good.
Well, last season's supposed to be the best, I think. Which makes
Have
me
you seen
happy.
it?
I always
Last
like it. No, I'm still in the first season. I always like it when the last season is the best. Just makes
Well,
me
yeah,
happy.
it's always great because that means it just keeps getting better. Unlike those
Yeah.
some shows where it just goes, woo, straight down over time.
That's how Stranger Things is gonna go, I think.
I honestly, this is completely off topic, but I have no hype left in my body for Stranger Things. There's not
Yeah.
an ounce left of hype in my body.
It's
like, I could
overstayed
not
its welcome.
care
Way overstated.
less.
Once you incorporate the Russians and stuff, it's overstayed its welcome.
I think we're done here. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I don't know. We talked about like the important things that we really wanted to talk about. I know a lot of people are talking about the general direction and the music and stuff like that, but we've already
The
talked
music
about
was
that
very
stuff.
good.
Yeah, like the names of the songs on Spotify are just hilarious.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the names of the songs, go check them out. right now. They're so funny.
Yeah.
Like there's one that's like, it's called like, Goblin something. Goblin is I don't know. It's really funny. Go check it
Yeah.
out. But yeah, music is good. Directing was good. Acting was fantastic. This movie, this is the most I've ever cried at a Marvel movie. When the Spider-Man showed up, it's like maybe a tear or two leaked out. All those scenes where they were talking, like, that's how good this movie was. That I was like, yeah, I cry at movies. I do. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but it doesn't happen that often. And this
Yeah.
really got me. Not even like with happiness, sadness, all in between. So I think that's a plus for this movie. Definitely.
Yeah. So
All right. Well,
I guess that's
I think
it.
we're good here. Definitely.
Nice.
That was good.
This
Good
has been
welcome
an
back for
experience.
us, I think.
Doing this
Definitely
on
an
camera is
experience.
quite the experience.
Yeah, my
And-
camera may or may not have died like 5 minutes ago, so.
Oh
But
gosh.
yeah, good job, guys. Good job, us. I hope you liked looking at it. No, that sounds weird. But I think it worked better. I think I like it. The cameras.
Yeah.
It's easier to
I don't know.
express myself. I don't know.
It might stick.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace out.